Welcome to the My Opinion Podcast, the leadership podcast for women. This is a show that focuses on leadership, life, and love to empower women around the world to be the leader of their life. The My Opinion Podcast is a weekly show with Maya's Motivation Monday, focusing on leadership topics for women that feature guest interviews as well as solo episodes with Maya. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the My Opinion Podcast on your favorite podcast platform. Now, in her opinion, here's your host, Maya Roffler.
Hi guys, welcome back to Motivation Monday with Maya, and I am so excited to be back with a solo episode. We've had some amazing guests on talking about leadership, of course, and it's fun to be back for a solo episode. It's summertime. I really wanted to highlight some incredible women, some great guests, but I'm back for my solo episode. And today I'm going to be talking about something that is so near and dear to my heart and something that changed my life, not only as a leader, but also as an individual. And it is leadership, but it's also about your life. And if you follow me on social media, I've been talking about it a lot. I've been posting about it. I've even been TikToking about it. I know. Please be proud of me. I'm TikToking. Today I'm talking about being the leader of your life, or how to be the leader of your life, because I truly feel that this is so important. And in this episode, I'm going to be talking about, because this is going to be a multi-episode discussion, because there are several steps. So today I'm going to talk about what it means to be the leader of your life, explain it, and then give you the tools to find that first core element in being the leader of your life and some exercises to do it. Because there is a first step to really understanding who you are, not only as a person, but as a leader. And that's what we're going to do today. But before we dive into it, make sure, if you haven't already, that you like, subscribe, and share the My Opinion Podcast, the leadership podcast for women. And if you haven't rated us or given us feedback, please do so. We love it. We love to hear what you think. And I just want to thank all of you who continue to listen. This is almost two years that we've had the show relaunched and talking about leadership, which is so near and dear to my heart. So thank you again, and we appreciate each and every single one of you. So let's dive into it. How to be the leader of your life. So what does it mean to be the leader of your life? What are we even talking about? Right? What does that mean? Well, to most people, they think that they have to have, and you may think this too, I did for a while, that you have to have a title, an official title from someone or a team, or someone has to be appointing us some kind of leadership responsibility in some sort of fashion. In my opinion, that's not what makes you a leader. And I've spoken openly about this on the podcast, on my blog. If you haven't read it yet, it coordinates with every single show I put out. It's on the website. And I talk often about being a leader before any of those moments happen to you, before someone gives you a specific title or anything, before you get the promotion to manager or director or vice president or whatever your next step is, or even before you start your own company, all these different things. When you step into your leadership now, that's what makes you a leader. And you may be thinking, okay, but what does that really mean, Maya? Like, how do I step into my leadership if I'm sitting in a single department, or I'm kind of out on my own, or maybe I'm running my own business at home alone? So, how do we do that? And what does that mean to step into our leadership? In my opinion, it means to be the leader of your life. You cannot effectively lead others if you are not already leading the life that you want to live. Now, don't get this confused, because when I started to learn this, I thought, oh my God, like that also held me up too, because I thought, oh my God, I'm like, everything's not perfect in my life. Like, so I'm not really the leader of my life. That's false. So that's not what I'm saying. It doesn't mean that you have to have it all figured out. We're all figuring it out along the way. But it does mean that you do have to know what is important to you as an individual and ensure that you're applying these tools into your own life. And that's what I want to talk about and teach you and help you with these next couple solo episodes. So first we got to look at, like, how do you even know if you are the leader of your life right now? How do you know? Or how do you become the leader of your life? So again, what I'll be talking about over the next couple episodes. And we can kickstart that. Or you might say, wow, I'm on that path, which is great. I found at times that I wasn't. And that's what really woke me up. And there were times in my 20s that I was, and there's been times in my 30s that I have been and I haven't been. So it's a journey. You go through highs and lows of being the leader of your life. But I want to start with the core, as I was mentioning at the beginning, and the foundational basics that you need to understand about yourself to become the leader of your life. I talked about on a previous solo episode, it's called Organizational Culture, about things like purpose, values, mission, vision, and talking about that in the organizational kind of aspect and how important it is for you as a leader to drive these factors. But this was kind of a sneak peek because these elements are even more important for you as the leader of your life. Your purpose, your values, your mission, your vision will shape you as a leader in every aspect of your life. And you can carry that into what I like to call your title leadership. When you become the CEO, owner of your business, director, manager, wherever you are in your career, you will carry that into those roles. But I find it problematic when it happens the other way, where you take on the values of the title that you've been given. You need to know yourself first. And that's why I believe in being the leader of your life. So it will really help you recognize too, when you get into those roles or those opportunities come to you, understand or make decisions and say, are these right for me? Do I want to be in that role? Do I want to be a part of this organization? Do I want to work for this supervisor? Do I want to hire these people to work for me? It goes on and on. So it's important to know yourself. This is like, I feel like this is leadership relationship is how I like to think about it. And, most of us struggle with purpose. I know I have several times in my life. And in my opinion, I think it's important to know that purpose is something that can evolve in life. And almost everyone I know, their purpose has evolved throughout their entire life. It doesn't matter. I have friends that are much younger than me, and I have friends that are significantly older than me, and their purpose continues to evolve. And I think that's a really beautiful thing. So know that. But it's usually a result of your values, your mission, and your vision. And most of us believe we must find this great purpose for us to be on this planet. Like there's one sole purpose. And in my opinion, yes, we all have a purpose, but you can have several and it can be evolving. And that's okay. And that's why as the leader of your life, you need to dive in and explore what's important to you. And so the first core thing before you look at anything else, because we're always struggling with what's our purpose, what's our, what are we looking at? Like, what are we doing in our life? So what's important to you? How are you going to start at the core of all of this to really lead yourself in your life? Before you lead anyone else or anything else, even if you already are, your values. Your values are the core and the first step on this journey of being the leader of your life. I encourage everyone to evaluate the most important values for themselves first. Like that's the first step. In my opinion, it's just so important. You learn so much about yourself. And when you are examining who you are, I think it's imperative to ask yourself, what values are most important to you. And it sounds really basic, but I don't think we always do this. And I didn't always do this. This is really the core of who you are and how you will lead your life and how you will be as a leader of others too. And in my blog, you'll see like I list a lot of common values, like how they're listed, but I mean there's hundreds of values out there. I've got the top 25, so feel free to jump over there and I'll put it in the show notes too so you can see, but these are like the top 25 that typically come up when people are asking, like what are values? And there's so many out there that can fall under values. This is really the best way to figure out what is important to you. And you really need to ask yourself some questions. So for example, and I love this exercise, by the way, like it changed my life in leadership, but like my life, and has made me the leader of my life. It really started that journey for me. And that's why I want to share this with you. So something you can ask yourself, and there's a lot of questions you can ask yourself. Just ask a lot of questions. But what makes you feel good? And that might sound really basic, but here's an example. So if you like to win awards and it makes you feel happy, achievement might be one of your top values. In fact, I know it is, but you have to kind of go through that journey and go through that narrative. So you really need to sit with yourself and ask these questions. Ask yourself what makes you angry. So like I'm basically using myself on this one. When people are dishonest with me, I can't handle it. It makes me so angry. I can handle the truth. I cannot handle a lie. Like I cannot handle dishonesty. I just can't. So honesty is probably a top value for you. If like lying is disgusting and a turnoff for you, it's a total turnoff for me. And it's really hard for people to make it back into my life after they've lied to me or make it back in that way. And so honesty is one of my top 5 values. And I always recommend that you kind of like don't limit yourself, but like really focus on the top 5 that come up for you. Ask yourself, what type of career what are you in right now? Look at that. But like, what do you want? If you're not happy with what you're in, like, what do you want? So this can tell you about your values. So how? For example, like you're seeking out help in your career. Okay, so say you seek out help for those who have been wronged. You like to really help people who have been wronged or being wronged, things like that. Well, I think justice is probably going to be a value for you because you want to seek justice for people. That's a value. And sometimes we don't see these values unless we're actually analyzing like what we aspire to do as like what's our dream job or why we love doing what we're doing. And it's important we analyze this and look at this and take the time to feel it and sit with it. Another good one is what makes you feel uncomfortable? I love this question. So like, for instance, if you're not into like spontaneous trips or taking risks, then like dependability is probably a value for you. Having that dependable, like you really like that dependability in people, in yourself and others. So I think you know where I'm going with this. I mean, I can tell you some of my top values, but no, honestly, there's so many. I don't find that 2 people are really 100% the same. My top values are definitely, if you want to know, they're definitely determination, honesty. I'm very independent. I am very courageous as well. I have integrity. That's a huge thing for me too, but that tends to go along with honesty. And that's the thing I love about this as well is you'll see a lot of your values kind of coordinate and come together, which is kind of a beautiful thing too. So understanding is a huge thing for me. Communication can be a value in a sense, but it has to get a little bit deeper than that. Those are some top things for me. Security is a good one too. So ask yourself this, go through some of these questions and really dig deep. But many of us have never taken the time to really sit down and think about our own values. I find this really wild because it's our core. And whether we realize it or not, it drives us. I think it is really important to become consciously aware of these values because you will know yourself. And to know yourself creates you as a leader. I encouraged all my team members, aspiring leaders, friends, and just anyone really to do what I call, I'm doing the bunny ears, values exercise. That's what I call it, the values exercise. Like any question you can think to ask yourself, like about yourself, and like put a word with it. Like I was just giving examples, like that's the values exercise. And I always asked this question in interviews, and I did it for several reasons. And some people like thought and think now still when I do interview, I'm asking it to see if our values align, which is true some of the time, but it's not always important to me that I have exactly the same values as everybody. That's not. But if we're way off base, then they're probably not going to work with me. Like if spontaneity is your number one value and you really don't care about integrity, like we're probably not going to work. Like I'm very spontaneous, but that's not my number one value. So that's not going to work. And I think you can understand that as well. So if you're just off base, so that's a great tool there. But it always shows me if someone is aware of the core of who he or she is as a person and as a leader, whether they think they're a leader or not, because this is showing that they're the leader of their life because they're aware of what their values are. And if they can't even name one value that's important to them, they're not aware of who they are at the core. And that is really what builds you in the leader of your life. So ask yourself the tough questions. This is an exercise that you should take time with and sit with it. And I promise you, some answers will surprise you, and others will, in a good way, and others will help you understand yourself even more. It's been a great thing for everyone I know that's done this. And within those questions, you will find your values, and you'll also prioritize your values, which is key. And in my opinion, probably the most important part of this exercise, because you'll look and say, okay, integrity is my number one value, but I'm really determined too, and that might be number 3. So you kind of that shows you what's most important for you as a person, and then also as a leader. Your values are the core of your leadership style as well, and who you are as a person, but as a leader too. Your values will drive your life. And this is the beginning of how you start to do self-discovery and evolve as a leader, regardless of where you are in your leadership journey. And this is how you start to become the leader of your life.
Thank you so much for listening to the My Opinion Podcast. You can catch up on past episodes on the My Opinion Podcast website at www.myopinionpodcast.com, as well as read the My Opinion blog and contact Maya directly with your questions. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at My Opinion Podcast and Maya Roffler. We'll see you back here next week.